Welcome to the Data Nerd Podcast. I'm your host, Nisar Ahmed. This is the final episode of season 2 before I take a short summer break for a couple of months. I will be resuming again in the fall in September. But in this final episode, I want to share a talk I gave back in April at the Data Leadership Summit titled AI Can Do It, But Should It? Making Smart Choices in Business Intelligence. Since then, a lot has changed in the AI space, including my own experience using the tool. I'm on board. I'm on this ship with AI. So some of the tech references in this talk may not be as relevant today as they were back then because a lot has changed. But I think the core message still holds strong here. So as you're listening to this talk, please do keep that in mind. AI is changing very fast. It's really reshaping how we work. And I think the importance of this talk is even more important now. And I think this is something that we should all be on board with, regardless of what industry we're in. Season 2 has been a great season. A lot of conversations around business intelligence, data storytelling, AI, and a lot of great guests along the way. So as I take this short summer break, I will be coming back in about a few months in September with a new season and a lot of new topics to explore. So if you do have any suggestions, please do let me know. I also do have the Data Nerd hat for sale. So the official Data Nerd hat can be purchased. I will provide the link to where you can purchase the hat in the show notes. So please do support and show your inner data nerd by buying the Data Nerd hat. So if you enjoyed your show, also please remember to take a moment to subscribe and comment, regardless of which platform you're listening on, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or any other podcast platform. It really helps to create engagement and help others find this podcast as well. So without further delay, let's get into this talk. I'll share this with you and have a great summer, and I'll see you all back in season 3. Welcome to the Data Nerd Podcast. I'm your host, Nisar Ahmed. Join me as we explore the inner data nerd inside all of us. Dive into the world of data alongside special guests who not only share their wealth of experience and knowledge, but also unveil what truly makes them data nerds. This podcast is brought to you by Business Intelligence. That's BIZNIS Intelligence. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Business Intelligence to stay up to date with Tableau training and the Data Nerd podcast. Connect with me on LinkedIn or stream the Data Nerd podcast across all major podcast platforms. Imagine this. You prompt an AI agent to build a dashboard. In seconds, it connects to the data, runs the queries, designs the visuals, and tells you what changed in the business. Sounds like magic, right? Well, that's not the future. It's happening right now. AI can do it. But the question is, should it? In business intelligence, we've long balanced this science of data with the art of insights, blending logic, context, and storytelling. Now we're being told AI can take over everything, generate dashboards from a chat prompt, write SQL for you, summarize trends, even recommend actions. But let me ask you, can AI understand the real why behind a KPI drop? Can it tell your CFO what matters most in your market right now? Can it decide which story will drive buy-in from the C-suite? So as leaders and builders in data, we're not just here to adopt AI. We're here to decide how much trust can we give it? And what role do humans play in this loop? Because yes, maybe AI can do it, but if you want our insights to drive real impact, we have to ask, should it? Who am I? What's my story? My name is Nisar Ahmed. I'm talking about business intelligence, dashboards, data visualization. When I talk about it, I always introduce it as being 50% art and 50% science. I grew up loving art, and that's kind of what drew me into the space in business intelligence. So I want to introduce myself using my art. You see art behind me. What do you see? You see New York skyline. You see Tableau. You see a calendar here with hockey. You see business intelligence, and you see a microphone. You want my story? Maybe you could prompt AI. Ask ChatGPT, who am I? Make sense of this art behind me. Let me give you that story. It may tell you who I am. But to really effectively tell that story, you need to have that human element, that context. I'm born and raised in Montreal, hence my love of hockey and my love of the Montreal Canadiens. And I've got my calendar up here. I moved to New York about 14 years ago, and I have that skyline up now. I started using Tableau about a decade ago, and now I'm a Tableau social ambassador, and I have this sticker up. I also started a YouTube channel called Business Intelligence, and also a podcast called the Data Nerd Podcast. Now, I'm going to add a little bit to my story for that context. I have my hat here that shows the name of my podcast, Data Nerd. So that's my story. So when we're talking about AI, there are really two kinds of AI. There's assistive AI and autonomous AI. What the difference between the two is the human element. With assistive AI, the human still makes that final decision. Think of it like a co-pilot, right? It provides the recommendations, but doesn't execute on them. You still have that human approval, the human input or interpretation. Autonomous AI is where you have no human, well, it's the full closed loop with AI actually providing that action. And so AI executes on the actions automatically without that human intervention. And so when we're looking at business intelligence, um, we want to compare both the assistive AI and autonomous and see if that's suited in the scope of business intelligence. Now, to fully understand that, let's look at where assistive AI and autonomous AI is being used currently and where it may be effective. And so when we look in the CRM space or the service or the call center space, we see the chat bot being used, for example, for customer inquiries online or troubleshooting. Provides you recommendations. Very often, you'll go online and you may want to reach out to a call center, but they get you to a chat bot, and it provides you certain recommendations or actions that you may take before getting to a real live agent. Now, when it comes to the autonomous agents, instead of talking to a real live agent, now you have these AI agents which can complete the loop for you. So, for example, you want to make a reservation. I don't know if you've ever used the Google Assistant. I have. I've looked up restaurants and I've wanted to make a reservation. My wife says, okay, let's make a reservation at this sushi restaurant for 7 p.m. I'll look it up, and then I'm given this option to allow Google to represent me and talk to an actual live person at the restaurant and make the reservation for me. And it does that. I don't even listen to it. It calls for me. It makes the reservation and then gives me the confirmation, sends me an email or a text confirming it for me, the whole closed loop process without my intervention. And the same thing is true with now you're seeing the trend. I've seen the Salesforce agent in action, and you see the customer call in and talk to an agent and make a sale, reservation, or complete the full cycle without that human intervention. When you look at self-driving cars, right, that's a full autonomous agent. But when it comes to an assistive AI, even before that full, if you don't, Teslas have full self-driving capabilities. I've used it. I've gone from point A to point B. Even before then, with the assistive AI capabilities, you have cars with blind spot detection when you're shifting lanes or alert you. And so that human intervention is still there. Now, with the full self-driving cars, you still need human intervention, meaning you have to pay attention. You have to be alert. Nest thermostats, right? You have thermostats at home. It really learns your habits, knows your temperature habits, or when you're at home, when you're not at home, when it should increase or decrease, and it autonomously makes those changes for you. And so these are all examples where it can work. It's very iterative. And it allows for that closed loop cycle. There's allows you to autonomously take action. Now the question is, does this work in business intelligence? And should it work in business intelligence? So let's look at some examples. So this is a chart that I found that offers a helpful overview of the US sports calendar. So it's the regular season and postseason timeframes from various leagues. But when I saw this, I saw several issues and potential improvements. So I asked ChatGPT, how do I make this chart better? And it came up with some suggestions. First, it identified the issues. Lack of specialty in labels. So the chart uses logos without clearly labeling the leagues, which could confuse people. Inconsistent or ambiguous time blocks. So some time blocks extend into vague periods without clear delineation. No scale granularity. So the monthly breakdowns doesn't specify when in the month the season begins or end. Is it early, mid, late? Then it suggested improvements. And their suggestions stated to add clear text labels. So list the league names next to the logos. Some people may not know what the logos mean. Enhance the granularity. So break down months into thirds, early, mid, late, or use weeks if possible. Use annotations. So include notes for significant events such as Super Bowls, All-Star weekends, opening day in baseball, Masters in golf. Improve color coding. So they suggested to use a gradient or multiple shades to show preseason, regular season, and postseason and off-season. And then it asked me if I would like help redesigning this chart visually or turning it into an interactive format. So I said, yes, let's see what it can produce for me. Now, when I first saw this, I said, okay, it looks a little cleaner, less lines. But when I looked deeper into here, it didn't really give me what I was expecting. Yes, the labels are the leagues are labeled rather than logos, but the colors are the same. The legend is the same, but the data is incorrect here. Look at the NBA. The postseason dates and the regular season dates. It's missing a whole 3 months, or January to almost April of the regular season. Like right after the regular season is when the postseason starts, and now there's like a huge gap both in the NBA and NHL. The PGA has only regular season. What happened to identifying the majors? Like it's just does not look right. It didn't add the annotations. It didn't improve color coding. It didn't really do anything that it suggested itself, other than relabeling the leagues rather than putting logos. While its suggestions were great, and it identified the issues and suggestions for improvement, it did not act on it. And that is where I think it is lacking. That product that was delivered did not align with best practices in data visualization. I actually like the version one better than the version that they produced. And the recommendations were on the right track. It just didn't execute for me. So, me being in Tableau space, we have, Tableau Agent. And this is kind of the next evolution in the AI space in Tableau. And I wanted to utilize Tableau Agent and play around with that to see what that can offer. Perhaps it can provide a better solution for me. I used an NHL dashboard. Looking at, Forbes comes out with their valuation for all NHL teams, yearly valuations, and I want to kind of look at the trends and see if I could build a dashboard to do analytics and make it look nice and tell a story. What if I told you I built this using Tableau AI? Yes, I leveraged the new capabilities of Tableau AI. I used Tableau Agent to inspire me to build this dashboard, give me the ideas, gave me a jump start. Watch this video with me as I explain and I discover what it's like to use Tableau Agent and Tableau Pulse and leverage the AI capabilities to build a better dashboard. If I were to ask you, what percent of this dashboard creation was a result of AI agent or Tableau agent? Would you say 80%, 90%, 50%, 10%? What if I told you about 20% of the creation of the dashboard was due to agent? 80% was still me doing the work afterwards. Now, does that mean that the agent is a failure? Not necessarily. What it did provide me with was suggestions, ideas that I actually did not think about when I went into this. I came in with a blank slate. I wasn't quite sure what direction I would head, and maybe I had a few ideas. But what Tableau Agent did was it did provide me with great ideas. It actually gave me some mock-ups that I can work with. Not the finished product, but enough to get me started. And I think this is a great tool, particularly with people who are new in the space, or maybe even with business users who don't have that expertise in development and in business intelligence, in whatever tool you're using. It gives them a head start, gives them a leg up. It gets rid of a lot of the manual work and processes that maybe you may not want to do, and it will save you time. Right? It did save me time. Yes, it did require me to put a lot of effort in after to make it look good. But that's partly due to maybe some of um, my perfectionist tendencies when it comes to creating dashboards that I like. The agent really does assist you and help you in getting some of those ideas and creative juices flowing. Now, those creative juices from the human side is still needed. That context is needed. This is a tool that I think from a business intelligence standpoint, when we're talking about artificial intelligence and agent, I don't think there's that closed loop process. I talked about some of the examples before when it comes to CRM, a call center, self-driving cars. There's a closed loop process there. It's more of a controlled environment where you have clear inputs and narrow decision scopes. I don't consider business intelligence something or a tool that's used with a narrow scope. There's a lot of context that's required. There's business knowledge, there's acumen, there's questioning and insights and creativity that's required to really tell that story, that data storytelling. I think business intelligence is a tool not just to show numbers, but do analysis and make decisions with them and garner those insights. And that's where that human element comes in. And that's why I feel that um, the human side will not be replaced. When it comes to business intelligence, you have a 50% science and 50% art. Now, I admit maybe with AI that science, 50% science may reduce and maybe there be a more emphasis on that storytelling side. The art really enables you to tell that story. Um, Data visualization is effective communication of the data to those stakeholders. What the visual component does is allows you to translate that data so you could effectively communicate that to your stakeholders or that business. Whether they have that data literacy or not, they'll all be able to understand it because of the clarity in the visual scope, in the visual development of those dashboards or data visualization. Now, dashboards in themselves do not tell that story. That human is the person who will tell that story, will provide that context. I feel that your role will shift and the emphasis will be less on doing some of those mundane manual tasks and more on the work that is important in telling that story and conveying those messages to the various stakeholders. So you can write the perfect SQL query, build the most elegant dashboard, deploy the most advanced AI agents. But if the result doesn't resonate with the stakeholders or move the business forward, it's just noise. AI in business intelligence is a power tool, not a decision maker. And you, as data leaders, are not just managing systems and platforms, you're the strategic compass for your organization. So it's your responsibility to champion AI adoption, but temper it with critical oversight. Make sure your team understands the why behind the insight, not just the what. Build a culture where human intuition and machine learning collaborate, not compete against each other. And invest in data storytelling because that's the uniquely human skill that AI cannot compete or replace. So, yes, AI can do it, but it takes a human to know if it's the right thing to do. As we build the future of business intelligence, let's just not pursue automation, let's pursue understanding. Because in the end, it's not just about what AI can do, it's about what we choose to do with it. I hope you all enjoyed this talk I gave at the Data Leadership Summit. The importance of AI is really, I think, magnified now. And this is something I want to focus on in the future. But in the meantime, please have a nice summer. We'll connect again in September. And please stay in touch. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Subscribe and comment to my podcast on any platform. And remember to buy the Data Nerd hat, link in the show notes.